You're my last guest of season 2.
That's so cool.
I know, it feels good. I like this. We're going to end on this cool, very original topic. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Ain't Gonna Be No Stupid. I am here with Laura Sample, and I don't even know Laura personally. It was so cool. We had one meeting. We meet with our life coaching awakened teams every 2 weeks, and Laura just immediately had the coolest quote, which I thought is the best. And I don't want to steal your thunder, but you said, my favorite quote is, a soulmate is someone who appreciates your level of weird. And that's Bill Murray. And I know, I love that you recognized my weird or whatever, but I think you found a kindred spirit in me. And I thought that was such a great, like, it just resonated in my spirit for the fact that you reached out to tell me about this amazing episode that we titled Ain't Gonna Be Living Dirt Cheap Forever. And I want you to tell us, if you can, a little bit more about yourself, and then I'll get into my stupid innocent story, and then we'll go into our situationships and then our main dish.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me. Like you said, I did feel like you're just this kindred spirit that I've never met in person, but I love you. I love your work.
Thank you.
So entertaining. You're actually doing something that I want to do too.
Yeah.
I've done some interviews, but I just like to have them all in there. They're all just waiting to be edited and put together and broadcast to the world. So I do have that in mind. And I interviewed people on my travels, and we'll get into my travels a little bit. But so I am a life coach, and I am a mother of 2 awesome adult children. Here's my son. He's at the Air Force Academy. He's graduating this year. He's going to be a drone pilot. He's super excited. And then my beautiful daughter, who is a concert pianist and piano instructor, and she and her husband own a farm. And then there's my wonderful grandson, Eli. So Naomi, Martin, and Eli, and Ryan, her husband. So
wow. Well, you're living my dream life. I never had children, and you're also living free and interviewing people on the road. I mean, how fun is that? So what a cool friendship we're going to be building through the years here. I haven't known Laura that long, but she has a connection to me, and I didn't know it, but it's a house in Winnetka that you're obsessed with.
That's right. 671 Lincoln Avenue. It is where they filmed Home Alone, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think I've seen it 25 times, but I don't know. I lost count.
Hilarious. I bet you drive your kids nuts quoting from it.
Yes, I do.
What's your favorite quote?
Oh, my favorite.
That's hard.
That is hard. You know, there's so many good ones. I think probably, this is it. Don't get scared now.
Oh, that's a great theme for this episode.
I say that to myself, and that's what motivates me sometimes, and I'm about to do something scary. This is it. Don't get scared now.
That is really good.
And there's what the French call les incompetents,
Oh, les incompetents. That means it means you're incompetent. You're not incompetent.
Yeah, but no, you're incompetent, but it's what Kevin. So the reason I really identify with Kevin, the main character, because he's the youngest and he's the one getting dumped on. And that was me when I was in those. Yeah.
I'm the youngest.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie?
Yes, but maybe not. My brain, remember, lime brain doesn't remember details. So I saw it years ago.
You might want to watch it again.
Yeah, I know. I need to. You also recommended another movie I didn't watch that you told me to watch.
Oh, yeah. The Man Who Knew Too Little. Oh, my gosh.
Okay. So let's get into a silly little story. Since we're on the subject of living dirt cheap forever, I'm going to tell a story about after my divorce. I lived in my condo for at least 3 to 4 years because we were upside down. We bought it during the time when the market was before the market crashed, and then everybody went upside down, right? So I thought I could never really get rid of it. Well, I ultimately just got rid of it, literally. and moved to the city. I remember throwing stuff on the curb, taking stuff to thrift stores, and it was just purging of everything that hindered me. And it was so freeing to walk away from that condo and just live in a little convertible. Now I just have a little apartment in the city, and I feel so free because I'm not encumbered by a bunch of stuff. And I still feel like I have more stuff. And I feel like now, after talking to you, I know I'm just going to probably clean all the rest of the day today. But I love your story when it comes to, and also, you know what I thought of too, before you tell it, your name is Sample. And I thought about that was an interesting word because I looked it up, and it says to taste, to try out. And it feels like you're living that life of just tasting it, trying it out. And no one, how many people have the courage to do what you're doing? You're going to be so inspired by her story. After reading your blogs, I have some. And then Laura is victory, honor, and fame. So victorious trying out stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's so cool that what you're going to be inspired by today with your story. But what do you have?
Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that.
What do you have for us for like an innocent situation, or just an innocent story, a little, whatever. It could have been as recent as yesterday. It doesn't have to be childhood, but.
Sure. Well, I worked at a car dealership right out of college, and I was actually in sales. And so I got to be, I had to get myself educated in cars and trucks. And I actually went to Dodge truck school, and learned all the ins and outs and towing capacity and rear axle ratios and just stuff that I would never have otherwise learned, and it was pretty interesting. But we had something new on our lot. The Dodge had a Cummins turbo diesel engine, and that was a big deal. That was like, we were the first in the industry to have something that exclusive. So one day it was my turn to help the next customer, and these guys drive onto the lot and in their Chevy, and they pull up in front of one of the trucks. And so I was like, okay, here I go. This is it. Don't get scared now. And I went out and spoke to them, and we started walking around, and I opened the hood, and they're looking at it. And so these two gentlemen, they're way older than me. They were probably in their 60s at the time, and one of them's missing some teeth. These are yeah. And anyway, so they asked me, what is the towing capacity? How much will it tow? And I looked at him and I said, 10,000 pounds. And one of them looked at me and he said, young lady, that is 5 tons. And I was like, yeah, well, and in my mind, I'm just like, oh no, maybe I got it wrong. What do I do? And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I have a book on this. I'm going to go inside and get it, and I'll show you. And so I go in, and I'm just digging through my desk, and my coworker is an older gentleman, and he knows everything, of course. And he comes, sauntering into my cubicle, and he said, do you know who those two men are? I said, no, and I'm still looking for my book. He said, those are the Steelsmith brothers. They are the richest farmers in Latah County. And he's like mad,
Oh my gosh, because they know he's sale.
Yeah, he wished it was his turn. And so I would go back out there, and I just seemed to charm these two guys. And they told me, we have never owned a Dodge ever. We've been Chevy and Ford men, and they bought that truck from me.
Oh, I love that. Cha-ching. But also, you tell the no teeth story, like The Millionaire Next Door, that book talks about the millionaire next door is going to be driving a beat up pickup truck. They're not going to be looking like a millionaire. They're
right.
Their money elsewhere, right? Not in all the stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, they didn't look like millionaires, but
wow.
I did sell it. And go ahead.
No, that's just a great story. That must have felt like such a victorious moment for you.
I think the best part was 2 years later, they wanted another one, and they came in and asked for me. And And I wasn't even selling then, but it was just nice to have had the
That's
mask.
so great. Wow, that's a great story. Well, now speaking of cars, when I had Lyme disease, it was mainly affected my brain and my gut. And as a result, driving started to get a little wonky. And it might also have been my rushing through life too. But I live in a building where there's parking garage, and I parked on the eighth, 10th, ninth, or 10th floor in the secured parking. Well, on the way up, I hit the wall one time and it just scraped the side of my Jeep. Okay. Didn't report it to the insurance, just lived with a scratch, whatever. Well, then I had the worst accident going down, and I just hit into the wall and like literally scraped my left side, and it was like almost undrivable. But I reported it to the insurance, of course, to get it fixed. And then my insurance bill came and it was double of what it would have normally been. And I'm like, what? So I just went to CarMax after I got it repaired. I drove it after work to CarMax. They gave me exactly what I owed. I got an Uber to the train and I never looked back. And that was about 2 years ago. So I have now been living without a car, which is weird because I work on the Southwest side and I live in the middle of the city. So it's been a very adventurous. It wasn't for my friend who lives in my neighborhood dropping me off in the morning. I would have to take the train in the morning also. But
Wow.
it's been really a blessing because now I have like what we call coffee in the car without coffee with friends who drive me to the train, or now I'm walking to the train because we have a different schedule. But it's been really a blessing to slowly get rid of stuff. And I know everyone thinks the American dream is get a house, get 2 cars, get a bunch of stuff. And to me personally, that seems like such a death sentence because you're bound to those bills, which makes you bound to your job. So I am so impressed with what you have done with your life. But it comes like when you have another situationship, and I think you mentioned a serial killer.
Yes.
Want to tell that story?
Well, sure. So I had a lot of firsts. Like I was the first one to sell. This was back at the dealership still. The first one to sell this beautiful little sports car that we had. It was the Plymouth Laser. It's the same thing as a um, Eagle Talon or a Mitsubishi Eclipse. So some people will know what that is. And just a cutest little sports. I would have loved it. Would have been my dream car at the time.
Oh,
But I wasn't going to get into $15,000 of debt, having just gotten out of college. So, so we had a cute little one sitting on the lot, and toward the end of the day, it was really late in the day. One day, this young man stopped and was looking at it. So I went out to talk to him, and long story short, he did end up buying one of those from me. And I had to hound this guy. I had to get after him like all the time. Okay, get him on the phone all the time. And he was a foreman on at some company, and it was hard to get him on the phone. So it just took a lot of effort. But finally, he decided he wanted one, but it wasn't the red one we had. It was a white one that was somewhere else. So I got to do the dealer trade, which was awesome. And drive to Sandpoint, Idaho, and get the white one and drive it
I
back.
wonder how that works. That's how that works. If they have another one, you have to go there and get it.
Yeah, trade. We just trade the dealer. Yeah. So it was very funny for
That
me.
probably wait. That probably planted the seed for this life you're living now. When you got on
Yeah,
the road, it just
a little bit. So this guy's name was Barry, and my other coworker, who was always cracking jokes and very fun, he used to tease me about Barry because I was single at the time too, and maybe that's part of it. But he would say, those quiet ones, you got to look out for those quiet ones because they're the serial killers. So he would he would talk about Barry the serial killer every once in a while.
So it wasn't legitimately a serial killer.
Well,
Well,
I didn't think so. But just like the Steelsmith brothers, a couple of years later, Barry came back to the lot, and this time he had his wife with him.
oh,
And they were looking for a bigger car, which makes sense, right? So I take him out to this Dodge Intrepid, which is a big sedan, and I'm showing him around, and I open the trunk, and Barry's wife looks at him and says, "Ooh, we could get a lot of dead bodies in there."
oh.
I'm
And they were
like,
just joking about the serial killer 2 years ago.
oh yeah, he joked with me right before I walked out on the lot again, to show him this. So it was like, who says that anyway? Who would
That's
say that? But
legit. No, legit. And I just read the graphic novel, Jeffrey Dahmer graphic
oh,
novel 2 nights ago. I used to have nails and I bit them all off. I don't even bite my nails. So that's so funny. You just said that.
oh, that's the worst.
Oh
Jeff,
my gosh.
anyway, so that freaked me out. I just handed him the keys and said, go ahead and test drive it, and just, like,
Seriously. And you should ask the wife if she wanted to ride in the trunk while he test drove it. Oh, that's crazy. Well, thank God he had a wife. Let's tell you that.
yeah, I know.
All right. So now tell us, you decided, is it now you had some circumstances that made kind of propelled you into where you're living now, but I
Yeah.
really admire what you are doing with your life in a motorhome right now. Tell us
Yeah.
some of the adventures. I mean, we can go through each and every one of the adventures, like wherever you parked it, whatever happened there would be really fun to learn about the stories. But let's go back to the backstory, maybe of why you chose to just sell it all and buy a motorhome.
Right. So I got a divorce well, it ended up early 2019, but it was a process. Um, and during the process, I was also trying to get a job down here in Southern California, in the San Diego area. And I can't believe it. I mean, I applied to 50 or 60. It was closer to 60 jobs, I think, and just rejection, 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 rejection. And I was so worn out by that. I mean, it was killing me,
Yes,
psychologically. It was
for
real,
sure.
plus all the other stuff I was going through with the divorce. So I got together with a dear friend of mine, Linda, and she and I kind of mapped out a vision for what my life is going to look like. Um,
I highly
and
recommend doing that for everybody, wouldn't you? Whether you look through a divorce or not, do it anyway, right? Go.
right,
Don't wait for you to get to be the bottom of the pit, but go ahead.
yeah, and really answering the question, who am I? And like, I can hear the emotion in my voice when I say that, because for years, I was caring for other people, and I was doing for other people, and it really was more about them, and I
Mhm.
had to be just the support person, the
Yeah,
person who takes care of everyone. And it
yeah.
was good. I mean, it was a very defined role, and I knew my place. I knew, I had some extra activities, but mostly it was work, and home life, and getting involved in their activities as teenagers. And I loved that.
Yeah.
But that part was over. They were adults. They were grown up at this point. And so I was answering a question, who am I?
Mm.
And wow, it was kind of surprising. It was it was like, yeah, I'm artistic, I'm a free spirit. It's like, really? I had to like show up every day at the same time, but now I don't. And so the things in my vision, on my vision board, were like buying a gypsy van, like
Yes,
living in a van, right? That was part of
yes.
it. And then, doing art and yoga, and being outdoors a lot, um, and not being stuck in one place, and being a minimalist,
Yeah.
like we referred to. So I had this vision of what I was going to do, and it was at a timely um, time in my life. It was a good place to be doing this, because I was in transition. My roommate was getting married. I was going to have to move. So I was
Interesting.
like, where am I going next? What am I going to do? And it wasn't time to buy the van yet, because the divorce, we were still going through it. So the next place I found was just for 3 months. I was renting a room in a house for 3 months. And then during that time is when I got geared up, started the blog, decided I'm going to, did my research. Am I going to buy a van? Went through all this. Am I buying a van? Or like, if I'm going to live in it, do I really want to live in a van?
Wow.
Like,
Like a,
and
yeah. But you found a good motorhome that has got everything you need, right?
Exactly.
We're
Yeah. I
looking at
mean,
it now, right? We're seeing it now, part of
right.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love this so much.
um, Yeah, it's like a little house, but I didn't know. I mean, it's like, yeah, the van thing, it's so romantic and everything, and you can go anywhere. I mean, and they're easier to drive, right? I'll have no problem driving a van. But then I did have a little experience with that, and then it's like you're basically getting into a car door like in and out of your
Yeah.
house. It's like you have to
You tr
duck in and out,
yeah.
and it's just and I mean, I even looked at a van that was just a van with it's a passenger van with seats in it. It had a higher ceiling, so that was cool. But then I would have had to outfit it with everything that I needed. So,
Oh, right, right,
you
right.
know, cost wise, that was like 20 grand. And so I started looking more seriously at motorhomes, at small motorhomes, and just, did some comparison shopping. And then the day I found this thing that's a funny story, because I was going to this little city up in the mountains, about an hour away, and I took a friend with me who had motorhomes in her life, and she had experience. So I was just like, I am not going to buy this thing without
Yes.
someone who knows.
Yes.
I don't even know what to ask, and
Yeah.
she will. So this will be great. So we went, and this guy was kind of a dealer, and he was kind of shady, and this vehicle was parked at a storage facility, and so he was just meeting us there to show it to us, and it had all kinds of issues. And the guy especially concerned me, just because he was kind of like a slick salesman type.
Yeah. And if they don't look you in the eye,
I'm
you know
not
what I
feeling
mean?
comfortable, and besides, that doesn't work on me because I've been in that. It's like, I know used car salesman, I've been one. So but I kept looking at my friend Rose, who's just a sweetheart, and she's the expert. I kept looking at her, like when we would get out of his eye contact, and she would look at me and just you know
Oh,
mm-mm.
it's like
She just
dating
was
then, right? To find the right motorhome, it was like dating.
oh yeah, yeah, although thankfully I didn't have to do very much
Oh, good.
of it, thankfully. So I said no, or I said pass on that one, I'll think about it. And we went into the little town there and had lunch, and on the way I saw this one that was parked outside of it looked like a dealership, and I thought, well, okay, maybe there's a chance. So we eat lunch and we're headed back the other direction. I said, I got to stop and ask about that Winnebago Mini. And and then I realized, oh, it's not even a dealership, it's just a repair shop. So it's just probably here for repairs, but I'll ask. And I asked the young man that was outside, and he said, go in and talk to them about it. Talk to Michelle. And so I go in and talk to Michelle, and I said, is that Mini Winnie for sale? And she said, yeah, we're just cleaning it up right now. We haven't even put it on the market yet. So yeah, you're welcome to go look at it. And so that's how
That's
I,
beautiful. I
yeah.
love that. Well,
And it was,
I
go
got to
ahead.
put a link maybe to the mini Winnie, what that actually looks like. But your blog also has some pictures too, doesn't it? So that'll
Yeah.
be okay. Check
Yeah. So
her out. Check it out.
yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. So like right now, where are you currently parked? If you don't have to say exact location, because I want to
Yeah.
protect your privacy, but where are you now?
I am in Del Mar,
Oh,
um, which is a beautiful area in San Diego. It's just at the
yes.
end of San Diego. So yeah, and very
Place.
close to the beach. So this is
Oh,
the first time that I've been in a place where I can just walk to the beach,
oh,
which is awesome. And it's a dog beach.
oh, that's my
People,
dream life.
people are always out there playing with their dogs, and um,
Could you have a
it's
dog? You could have a dog where you are, right? If
I
okay, you
could, but I'm not quite ready. I'm not ready to be responsible for anyone else right now.
I know for sure. I get that. So then you've parked in a variety of places just because of necessity or just for the adventure of it, or did you travel across the country or what is your,
Sure. So I've stayed at so many different kinds of places. When I first started out, I was headed north to Washington State, which is where my daughter is, where my mom is. And I was on my way to go visit them. And I stayed in a friend's driveway. Um, I stayed in a parking lot of a bowling alley.
Wow.
I
So you
stayed,
pretty much could park into like a shopping mall
yeah,
area.
yeah,
Nobody
you could.
hassles you. Okay.
Right. And the safest places for that are Walmart parking lots. They have 24-hour security.
Okay.
I've stayed at a Sam's Club parking lot. I've stayed at Cabela's. Yeah.
And so like right now, are you in a paid parking spot?
Yes. Yeah. Here
Okay.
I have hookups,
Oh,
which I did more of that when I first started out because I was, a little nervous about going to unfamiliar places and just, parking. I'm better at it now. Now I'm not.
yeah. So wait, when you're in a Walmart parking lot, you're not really hooked up to anything. That's just more of an overnight sleep spot, right?
Right.
Oh,
Exactly.
but then at any moment, like, are you in a lease situation where you're at, or any moment you can just say, I'm out of here?
I am in a lease situation for one more month here. And then I'm not sure where I'm going. So
Oh, I love that. So like when you go visit your daughter, you get to stay in your own motorhome, or do you stay in her house?
I stay in the motorhome.
Yeah, give them some
Yeah,
space. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And I'm actually, when I stay there, I stay by the barns. So I'm like a half mile from their house. I can see their house. They can see,
Oh,
but yeah, they
that
have
whole
their own.
farm life is beautiful. I
Yeah.
know. Oh my God, that's a whole other episode, but that's beautiful.
It's also really hot and really dirty.
Oh, at the
So,
farm.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. What does it cost for like gas to drive a motorhome?
it's expensive.
That's the biggest expense, right? Or no,
Well,
not.
yeah, when I'm on the road, it is,
Yeah.
like right here, I've been parked for several months, so I haven't spent anything on
Wow.
gas for the motorhome. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, so
Probably like the price of a plane ticket, no?
oh, it's more than that.
More than that.
Like to go to my daughter's, it's definitely more because, excuse me, I can spend $100 a day in gas
Okay. So
if
12 hours.
if
Yeah.
I'm moving,
Wow. Yeah.
and yeah, it's not 12 hours. I never do 12 hours in
No
this thing.
way, right?
Mm,
Oh, 8 hours, 6 hours.
It's 3 or 4.
Oh, $100 for 4 hour drive.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's to get to Washington from where you are, it's probably a 2 day trip, isn't it then?
It's 3 days in a
3 days.
car. And this
3 days.
thing, it's like 5 because
Wow.
I just don't drive as far in this.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
plus,
yeah.
you need to stop before it's dark. And
Yeah. Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's great that you're safe
yeah.
like that. Um, I want to get into the story of the person that you heard footsteps on your,
My gosh.
if you
Yeah.
want to tell that, or they can read it on your blog.
No, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
So I've been, thousands of miles, and yet I was in the city that was my hometown for 18 years, Yakima, Washington. And I'm not really even in the city. I was at the state park that's just adjacent to the city. So um, I was there because the next morning I had to have repairs done, and that's a whole other, there's
Oh,
been a
yes.
lot.
We got to talk about your repairs. Yes.
Yeah, there's so many different things that break on
Oh,
a motorhome. And so I'm just kind of used to it now. It's fine. But at the time it was to get my power door locks fixed because they weren't
oh,
working.
that's safety. Yeah.
That's safety, right? So that was the plan. And the next morning I was going to take it to my mechanic and get that done. And so I thought, well, I didn't want to be at my daughter's because it's just further away. So I'll just spend one night in the park and then, take it in, and then I can get on my way and go visit my friend in Idaho. So yeah, so I go to bed, and I have my windows cracked, because it's hot. It's still end of August in Yakima. It's very hot. And so I wake up at 2 in the morning, and my motorhome is shaking, and I can tell somebody's on it.
Oh,
Somebody on my motorhome. And I was sure at that moment, I'm dead. I am dead. Because if they want to get in, they're going to get in.
mm.
The windows are open. They could just push them all the way open. And so but my mind starts going, and I think I grabbed my stun gun and I grabbed my phone and called 911. And um, I told them my whole story, and then they said, "Oh, well, we're gonna have to transfer you to the sheriff's department." And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
and then I know how big that county is, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna take them forever to get here. So I knew he was already gone probably, but I wasn't gonna go back to sleep. I was really, um, you know, my heart rate was up, and anyway, so I watched out the window to see if the police would come, and just a couple minutes later they were there, and they had their spotlights and they just lit the place up like a stadium. And
Good.
wow,
Yeah.
maybe somebody else called too, because that
Right,
was
right.
really fast. And then they made their rounds around the park, and then they came to me, and anyway, we talked about it. I asked him, is my ladder still on the back? Because I thought, well, maybe he was stealing my ladder. I don't know. And he said, no, it's still there. And so in the morning, I got out to look to see if I could see any evidence of anybody having been there. And sure enough, there were footprints on the bumper of the motorhome. And then as I looked at it some more, I realized, oh, they cut the cable that held my bike on the bike rack, that secured it on the bike rack so it wouldn't get stolen. They cut that cable. They'd taken the straps off the bike, and the only thing they missed was there was this bungee holding the front tire of the bike, and that was still on it.
So they didn't steal it.
They didn't steal it. They didn't, maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they heard me
Maybe. Yeah,
and took
yeah.
off. Here's the crazy part, Amy. You don't have to stand on the bumper to take the bike off the bike rack. I never do. Why get on? I mean, why would you get on someone's motorhome when you know they're probably sleeping inside?
Yes, so strange.
I think they were amped up on meth or something.
Yeah, something like that. But that was the only scary story, I hope, because I don't want to steer people away from living this lifestyle. I want to paint the picture of how wonderful your life has become because of this lifestyle. If we could talk about just I don't know, 5 things that you just didn't know that I don't know, just what are the
Sure,
benefits?
sure. I think, yeah, definitely, finding out how little you really need
Yes.
to live a good life.
Mm,
I have everything I need right here.
mm.
So that's been a big part of it. And then you get to be really industrious and creative. If you don't have exactly what you need, well, how could I put that together? How could I make it work with what I have? With
Wow,
what
that's
I have.
great.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I had a situation, I'm trying to think of what it was, where I thought about the Apollo 13 in the movie, where it's like, yeah, they're in trouble and they have to work with what they've got, because obviously nobody can bring them anything. And
Right.
that is how it is when you're camping and you're off the grid. um, you don't have cell service. You don't have any way for somebody even to come get you and rescue you. So
And
you
you can't
got,
trigger your trigger finger Amazon button isn't
no,
even an option because it won't
no,
deliver, right, to where you are?
no. Yeah, you don't have that kind of entertainment either. And that's
Oh,
something that I didn't realize I would miss as much as I
oh,
did,
okay.
is like, I don't have just like everything at my fingertips, I can research something, or I can buy something or watch something. I don't have any of that when I'm out in the,
Right,
you know,
there's no service, but the good news is then you have more time for reading
yes,
or writing or creating too,
or
right?
painting, or yes,
Painting.
I listen to podcasts a lot.
Oh,
So I have
good.
to make sure I download those before I
Yeah.
go
Oh, I
off
get it.
the grid. Yeah, so you have to be really prepared, and you do have to think a lot, which is probably good. It's
And
like
you do your own repairs, don't you? Do your
some
own?
of them, yeah, not on the engine, because I don't,
No.
I don't do
Okay.
But whatever I can repair myself on the RV, I do. I replaced all of the vent covers that are up on the roof, and it's one of those things where, like, once you take the old one off, it's like, oh, there's some parts that don't match up with the
Yeah.
new one. And
Yes.
I pretty much need those because if it rains or anything, you
Oh,
they need to be, the vent covers need to be on there. So I just worked with what I had, and I have a nut and a bolt where there used to be another kind of part there, and then I've even used some twist ties, just
I
like
love that.
so.
That's creativity.
Yeah, you have to be creative.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So for food, what do? You're able to cook in a full kitchen and you just cook for yourself?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I have a 3 burner stove, and I usually only use one, so
Yeah, right? Why do we have four? I know.
and the oven I've never used. I've never used the oven because I just don't need to. I can do it
Yeah.
on the stovetop, or I have a microwave too.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it is kind of roughing it, but it's not
It's
really. I have
not.
a coffee maker. I have a generator and a solar panel. So when I am off the grid, I can run my air conditioner, I can run my microwave. Probably not at the same time, but
Right, right. I love that you found all those things. How long you've been doing this then? Over a year, right? Since
almost
20,
2 years.
almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So then 2020 for you wasn't as much of a sacrifice for like, right? Everyone,
This is my
it's like,
normal
what is
life.
everyone talking about, right? That's awesome. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is great. Um, is there anything else you wanted to talk to us about in terms of like motorhome life? Or you say you ain't gonna live cheap forever. What do you mean by that?
So this is a temporary situation in my life, and I have to remind myself of that sometimes because it can get a little, I don't know, discouraging at times, or because there are downsides to it. And I do want people to understand that going in.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is your dream, talk to me.
Yes.
That's what I want to say, because I do get that a lot. I get, oh, you're living my dream. And I'm like, really? I mean, I get,
Unencumbered is what it
yeah,
perceived to be, but maybe it is a bit more cumbersome than we think.
there is, there's definitely the upside of you get to go wherever you want, whenever you want. And it is pretty simple, right? Your life is simple, but there's the repairs, and even the new ones, even the new motorhomes and other RVs. I do hear stories from people that they often need repairs. It's like having a house
Yeah.
and subjecting that house to uh, an earthquake, on the 6 on the Richter scale, I think they say, every time you drive it.
Oh,
So things shift, things move, things
oh,
come apart. So yeah, there's a lot to these things. And then the other thing I think of when people say you're living my dream is hooking up the sewer hose and emptying the tanks. It's like, yeah, if this is your dream, come do this and tell me.
yeah. I wonder you guys should all do it at the same time in the RV park and just say, "Hey guys, time to live in to be fun party. Have a sewer emptying."
Yeah.
Do you guys sit around a campfire? It's not like that, right? There's like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I found this one place, and this was funny because it's out in the middle of nowhere, in southern Idaho. Because I was on my way and I wanted to see the Craters of the Moon National Monument. So I go on this app called Campendium, and I look for free campsites. So I stay free whenever I can. Now that I'm familiar with it, and I'm, fearless compared to when I first got it. Um, and so I found this place, and it was like, I don't know, this is pretty interesting. The guy who owns this free RV park, his name is Scar. Okay. That's sounds a little scary, but he actually had his picture on there, and there were reviews. There were people reviewed and said they had a good time, and it was very nice. And so I thought, okay, I'm driving an hour out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm just going to drive by this place and see if there are other people staying there, because in case he's a serial killer,
Yes.
just in case.
Yes.
And plus there's a KOA campground right next door, just in case. So I went driving by, and yeah, there were a couple other vans and RVs there. So I turned around, I drove in, and it's like this terribly, unfinished, unimproved area, and it's all dust and dirt. But as soon as I get in, Scar comes over to my window and introduces himself and said hello. And he said, "Well, if you can park any of those places. He actually had electrical hookups, which was great. He had no water there, but there were hookups, so that was nice." And he said, "And we have a beer here for you." He has this beer fridge. I need to give you pictures of all this because it's great. He has this beer fridge, and then he does a bonfire every night. And he also at sunset does taps and the national anthem, or
Wow.
taps and the Pledge of Allegiance, and then in the morning he does the national anthem, and
Wow.
he's saluting the flag the whole time. It's great.
Yeah, send me those pictures. I'll put them on the end slide of the video. Okay. That'll be
Yeah.
fun.
So around the campfire, got to know a lot of different people. Got to
That's
know
great. Yes.
a young
That's the fun.
couple. Yeah, very
Oh,
cool.
that's the part that seems so fun to me. I love it. Well,
It is.
before we do our 3, 2, 1, I did want to say these are some of the questions that came up from the documentary I actually watched this morning called The Minimalist Less Is Now. And it's on Netflix. And it asks the following questions. And if you want to answer them, you can. I can just read them. But when did I give so much meaning to stuff or material goods? 2, who is the person I want to become? And how will I define that when I'm there? 3, what is truly important in my life? And 4, why have I been so disconnected? So
Mm.
I just thought that was the inspiration at the end. And it does a challenge for the people too, that every day, starting with day 1, get rid of 1 thing today. And the second day, get rid of 2 things, et cetera, right? And just keep going. And I think that's your story inspires that as well. So I don't know if you wanted to address any of those. Some of these are life coaching questions too, right? What is the person I
Sure.
want to become, and
Yes.
what
Yep.
is truly important in my life? It's all about your values, because goals will never really stick unless you attach them to values, right? And if you don't know what you value, then how can you live that powerful life, right?
Right.
Oh,
Well, I went from a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that we lived in for 16 years.
mm,
So you can imagine, we had a lot of stuff. I went from that to a 1-bedroom apartment to 1 room in someone's house, 1 room in someone else's house. And I had this 10 by 15 storage unit. Um, so when I got back from my first trip in my motorhome, I still had that 10 by 15. And then I really had another great big yard sale. And now I'm going to have a 10 by 5, just because I
oh,
still have a few things that you
I
do
love
need
it.
to hang on to, like family
Yeah.
pictures.
I was going to ask you if you had a storage unit somewhere, and
I
you,
do.
yeah,
It's small, but I
good,
do.
good,
It's all
good.
very organized, and I know exactly what's in there, which
That's
is the
great.
right.
Yes.
That's definitely the upside of going through, and it's tedious and it's hard work to go through all that stuff, and it's emotional,
It
right?
is.
Because there's
Yeah.
emotions attached to those things.
Yeah. Especially if you don't know who you are and your stuff defines you, I think you'd have a harder time getting rid of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've moved out of California the same way I did out of the South Side. I got rid of stuff, and I'm used to letting it go. So I try not to accumulate too much. So let's do a 3, 2, 1. And I'm excited to hear about the 1, which is your final question you want us to truly think about. 3, I want to recommend 3 television shows that really will help you just dive into. And they're all on Netflix. It's Maria Kondo's Tidying Up. She does a good job with every little family. And then Minimalism is a documentary about minimalist living, and Minimalist Less Is Now, I've already mentioned. And then 2 habits I want to encourage you guys to just simply clean out your closets. Take everything out, and Maria Kondo will kind of walk you through how to do that. And then really, what do you really need? And I know as I've gained 20 pounds this year, thank God I didn't throw away my sizes, because now I'm back fitting in my sizes. So, but I still feel the need to toss a bunch of stuff. Even as we speak, I look around even where I'm at right now. I'm like, what's going on? And then also there's a recommendation I want to give you guys, especially if you're younger, to put your money in growth mutual funds or let the money grow as opposed to just a savings account. So that's just my two. And if you could give us the one thing that we should think more deeply about.
I think that one thing is to ask yourself, what would I do? What would I do if money were not an object? What would that one thing be that I would do?
And and if
maybe,
you were not afraid, right? If you weren't afraid and money was not an object, because I know that fear kind of plays into that, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah. But maybe it is buying the motorhome and getting out on the road. But for you, it's something. It's
Yeah.
something different, maybe. But
Yeah. You could
what
just be the inspiration for people to like think outside of the box, right? Because we think
yeah,
we need to stay in our job for years and years and years so we can afford a certain lifestyle. But no, why don't you change your lifestyle and you won't have to stick in that job or whatever, right?
that's exactly it.
Oh, well, where can we find you, Laura? I know not literally, but like social media or like you have your blog, but I know you told me, is there a social media handle that we should put down too?
On Facebook, if you look up Dirt Cheap Living,
Oh, yeah.
you will find me. I have a website, lauralynnmac.com. So that's just Laura Lynn and then MAC.com. So
Okay,
I'll
that's
have
great.
latest of whatever I'm doing up there.
I love this. So thank you so much, Laura, for being a part of my podcast. Final episode of season 2. It's been such a blessing to get to know you better and to learn more about what you've been doing, your adventures and everything. I'm
Thank
inspired.
you. And congratulations on season 2.
Yay,
That's
thank you. Yeah, it's been effortless. It's been really a blessing to just talk to people. Really, it's been really, really fun.
great work. I
Oh,
love it.
thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.